Good evening, and we are going to record this very first class. This is the very first class of proving matriarchy, or as some would dub it, matriarchy versus patriarchy. And of course, feel free to disagree with anything that I say. If you have a question, go ahead and ask it. Don't hesitate. There's no such thing as a bad question within this wall. When you walk past the door and you're sitting here, you are encouraged to ask questions. You are encouraged to disagree. Because anything that goes amok without any sort of an opposing view tends to do just that. It runs amok. So if you have any questions, go ahead and raise your hand. Don't interrupt, but go ahead and raise your hand. And of course, I will obviously call upon you. Your opinions do matter. This is a teaching episode, nothing more. So first, I'm going to start with female genital mutilation versus male genital mutilation. Now, when female genital mutilation occurs, there is a worldwide uproar. Stars check in and give their 2 cents. Big names step in and say, stop this is horrible. You can't escape the videos from Facebook and YouTube. You can't get away from the Twitter. Stop female genital mutilation. However, male genital mutilation is institutionalized. It is in hospitals. There is a coalition of international witch doctors that travel the world and do nothing but circumcisions. Backyard circumcisions. In Australia, there was one case in which an international witch doctor had his flight paid for and was paid to do 13 male genital mutilations. Everything was paid for by him. Well, the recovery didn't go so well for one of the young boys, and he wound up in the hospital. Reverse the roles and find out if it makes sense to you. It will not. Yes?
Is there any reason for the circumcision as for mothers in hospitals when the babies are born?
Is there any reason to have? No. There is no medical reason to have male genital mutilation. In fact, I'm glad you asked that question because it reminded me of another point. The whole point of female genital mutilation was so that way the female did not enjoy sex as much. They believed that it would stop her from going out and being with several men. I don't know what in those particular countries that practice female genital mutilation would call that. Here we would call it being promiscuous, I suppose. Well, come to find out that the foreskin literally has thousands upon thousands of additional nerve endings. So, as the upper class or the upper echelon, as females in today's Western society are portrayed, you would rather have your second-class citizens not enjoy sex as much as your class. So therefore, you would institutionalize that procedure. Because heaven forbid that the cavemen, the knuckle draggers, the walking dildos enjoy sex as much as a woman. It's institutionalized. Here in the Western world, which is where I speak of, I don't choose to speak of third world countries because I firmly believe that we have to clean our own backyard before going over to our neighbors and dictating to them how to clean their backyard, all the while stepping over our own trash to peek over the fence at their yard. Here in the United States, it is institutionalized. It's in the hospitals. Female genital mutilation is not. Does that sound like a matriarchy or a patriarchy? It sounds like a matriarchy to me. Let's move on to education. Now, in today's world, education is key. This is very important for you to remember. Education is key. In the past, it was always weapons and resources. He who had the weapons and the resources had the power and the control. In today's technologically advanced world, and each day consecutively more important, is education. He or she who controls education controls the world. Now I'm going to reverse the roles before I go into actual statistics. The average of college diplomas in all colleges in the Western world are 60% male and 40% female.
So you're saying that
Go ahead. What's your question?
so you're saying that there's more women graduating than men?
Well, I haven't gotten there yet. I'm reversing the roles first. So imagine, if you will, that we lived in a world in which 60% of all college diplomas went to male graduating students. Do you believe that it would be on every single news broadcast and it would be every single press conference given by the government and that President Obama would say, this is a problem, we must fix this? We must have 50% women and 50% men in college. Do you have any doubts that any of that would happen? It would. We all know this. It would happen. Every time you turned on the news, every time you looked at Twitter or Google Plus or YouTube or Facebook, you would be infiltrated with stories of our girls are being left behind at every level of college. However, the true statistics are just the reverse. The average graduating classes in college today in the Western world are 60% female graduating students, and the gap is widening at an alarming rate. But where is the uproar? Where is the news broadcast? Where is the Twitter hashtag dedicated to no boy left behind? Where is President Obama saying this is a problem? There isn't. Well, I submit to you this idea. As a ruling class, just as George Orwell's 1984 stated, that a lower class was created by artificially manipulating them. Well, here we are artificially manipulating the education level, and nobody is caring about the boy education crisis. Well, as an upper class, of course you wouldn't want an uproar. You'd want it to quietly widen the gap. You want your class to hold the key. You don't want the lower class, the class for the penis, to be educated. You want them to be the working class. You want them to be the knuckle draggers that you say they are because they haven't had the same opportunities and education as a woman with a vagina. Let's move to the sentencing gap. Men, for the same crime as a woman, have a huge sentencing gap. When a man and a woman are convicted of the same crime, the man has a 65% chance of going to prison. The woman has a 65% chance of getting some sort of a program, a mental illness check of some sort, a house arrest, A woman just recently murdered her husband, and she got 120 days of shock time in jail. A slap on the wrist saying, no, murder is bad, don't do it again. A slap on the wrist. Now, if you were the upper class, of course you wouldn't want the people within your class, the vaginas, to have a harsher sentence. It reminds me of the Roman days. A Roman citizen was allowed to walk anywhere in the known world, virtually free of harassment. But woe be to those who attempted to harass a Roman soldier. Utter the words, I am a Roman citizen, and you had the backing of the Roman Empire. Well, today it's utter the words, I have a vagina, and you have the backing of the full might of the political power of the United States. But a male, on the other hand, is not. Let's move to the rape statistics. The 1 in 5. There's an average of 10.5. Yes?
I just wanted to ask that you're saying all of the men that are in this class are not going to graduate because all the female in this class are?
In this class, the females, 60% of all degrees, especially post-educational degrees, bachelor's degrees, will go to females. And not only that, females have a direct pipeline into employment. If you would like a technical job, if you would like a job with Intel, just let them know you have a vagina, and you will get in. However, the men, no, you do not have that option. You have a penis. You cannot have a direct pipeline, even though the disparity shows that you, human beings with a penis, are the ones who are most at risk in college of dropping out. But nobody cares. You won't see a news story. You might see a sprinkling of an article here and there. You might see a YouTube video here and there. But you will never hear any mainstream media say what is going on. Yes?
So for us males in this class, what are we supposed to do on our education?
As it stands right now, the only thing you can do for your education to better yourself and have better odds at getting a diploma and better odds at getting a job are to have a sex change, lose the penis, have a vagina surgically implanted, and change your name to sound like a woman. And then you will have access to direct pipelines of employment. You will have access to resources to help you get employment to a far more degree than if you have a penis. Now, the rape statistics. There are an average of 98,000 rape cases reported in the United States. 98,000. Now, as I said, yes, that is a lot. Now, as I said before, the 1 in 5 stat, 1 in 5 women will be sexually assaulted in college. There are an average of 10.5 million female enrollments in college every year. A steady, fairly steady, it's been growing because the male population has been dropping. But average about 10.5 million female students in colleges, pretty steady every year. If 10.5 million female students in college every year, and 1 out of every 5 of them were raped, then that would mean that there were 2,100,000 rapes just on college campuses alone. However, in the entire United States, we will even give the benefit. Let's call it 100,000 even. there are only 100,000 rapes reported in the entire United States. So that bears into question that 1 in 5 statistic. Does that sound like a matriarchy thing to do? Or a patriarchy thing to do? It sounds much more like a matriarchy. And the trends are growing. The women make 75 cents on the dollar per men. Actually, it's been recently, with this last December report, dropped down to 6 cents on the dollar. That there's a disparity of 6 cents on the dollar. However, you cannot take a statistic that takes every single man in the United States and every single woman in the United States, adds all of their salaries and says this is what the men make and this is what the women make. That's not fair. There is not one company in the United States where a man and a woman within the same position, in the same company, with the same credentials, working the same hours, producing the same amounts, where the man gets paid more than a woman. That's absurd. Let's look at it from two standpoints. As a business, if that were true, I would do nothing but hire women. If I could get the same hours and the same production amount out of a woman and pay her 75 cents to the dollar, of course I'd only hire women. 2, a company doesn't do that because it is already illegal to do that. If it were the case that females were systematically paid less than their male counterparts for the exact same position, the exact same hours, then there would be nothing but lawsuits after lawsuits after lawsuits after lawsuits against these companies. That is a reasonable thing. Everybody loves free money. And if you can get free money because you know you're being discriminated against, and I'm not saying that it is good. I'm not saying free in the context that it deserves to be happening. No, nobody deserves to be discriminated against. What I'm talking about is if you have a just cause and you know you can get money for taking someone to court and probably have the National Organization for Women backing you and pick up the cost of a lawyer, and the media would certainly back you, then you would. Anybody in their right mind would. But it doesn't happen because there is no wage gap. You cannot take every single male in the United States. Heck, the Koch brothers alone make more than 50% of the population's income combined. The Koch brothers, the amount of money they made was included as well. The statistic is bogus. It is bad. The only way we are going to have equality is to have equality, meaning the statistics have to be equal as well. Such as a man getting raped, no matter what his position, is a bad thing. Would anybody in this classroom, anybody, disagree with me when I say a man does not deserve to be raped, no matter where he lives in the world? Is that correct? Then if you include every single man in the United States, there are 98,000, let's rank it up for math, 100,000 average now, it fluctuates, but there are 100,000 average rapes every year reported in the United States. You can only go by the reported ones, that horrible, horrible feminist saying of most rapes go unreported. You cannot use that. Because if a rape is unreported, it's unreported. You do not know it exists. I cannot tell you that I have $1,000 in my pocket. So go ahead and give me that $1,000 car or that $1,000 watch or whatever item. But you're just going to have to trust that I have $1,000 in my pocket. Even though it isn't verified, it isn't reported. You cannot claim unreported. Because it's not reported, it doesn't exist. You cannot claim something that is imaginary. You cannot say that we believe there's 10,000 unreported rapes every year just because we believe there's 10,000 unreported rapes every year. You cannot do that. They're unreported. How do you know? How do you know there aren't just one? How do you know there aren't just two? How do you know there aren't 50 million? How do you know that all those aren't false reports that you believe are unreported? You don't. You cannot claim that. Neither side can claim that. If one side can claim it, both sides can claim those ones, yes.
So if a woman gets a rape kit at the hospital and it comes out negative, she's still gonna be able to collect the money off the man that she accused? Or the lady?
That's a complex question. Sometimes. So the way it works is when someone is accused, their life is over. The person who did the accusing before anything is proven is automatically given access to resources that they wouldn't have access to otherwise. Help with rent. If you were getting bad grades in school and you cry rape, all of a sudden you get improvements, you get help, you get automatic A's, you get excusal from tests. They take your bad grades and they wipe them clean. They only accept the A's, B's, and C's. So if you have B's and F's, they get erased. So there's all kinds of different things, and those don't go away when the person is found out to have been lying. They get to keep those resources. Only recently have there been a couple cases sprinkled here and there in which the woman, after the man had served prison time, said she lied, in which the school is suing her for millions of dollars, but they're not going to get it back because she doesn't have it. It is a futile effort. It is more of a political statement of, hey, that sucks, you lied to us. No uproar about her ruining a man's life, though, because he has a penis. So, if we had all the statistics of males, period, no matter where they live in the United States, and that includes prison, because they are human beings as well, are they not? So when you include prison, male rape vastly outnumbered female rape. An average of 300,000 rapes occur in prison alone. Just prison alone, there are 3 times as many men getting raped as women in the entire United States. Now, people want to say that, but they're prisoners. They have done something obviously wrong. When? Sometimes. But let's take a stab at this for a minute. How many times have we heard a story of a man being imprisoned 10, 15, 20, 5 years, only to have the woman come out and say that she had lied, or DNA evidence proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was innocent? So it bears to mind that there are innocent people in prison. You don't know who they are, so you cannot lump all of them in. You have to account all of them. Secondly, we live in a world that seeks equality, and that's what we seek in this class. The only reason I attack feminists so much is because the movement has gone too far. It has gone into the bounds of a hate movement, and somebody has to rein the beast in. And if I must do it, then I will do it by any means possible. To a legal extent, of course. I have to add that last part, you see, because feminists will inundate me with death threats. They tell me to go kill myself. And tell me, oh, you are a rape apologist. Because I have a penis, and I dare to speak out about the injustices that I see. Feminist is the biggest bully on the block today. And that's who I seek to tear down, is the biggest bully on the block. When they're gone, I will target someone else. But right now, it's feminism. Any other questions?